Hey! Friday night! Live, improv, New York City. Hey, we're going to play a game called The Dating Game. And what happens in the dating game is Emmanuel Elpenord is going to be sent into the soundproof booth known as the waiting room. What? Yeah, we'll send him. And while he's there, he's going to think about 3 open-ended questions that he would ask if he was on the actual dating game, which hasn't existed since the 60s. So well done for even remembering what it is. You ready? Everybody say bye-bye, Emmanuel, because we're putting you in the waiting room.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Manuel.
Bye-bye, Manuel.
Bye-bye. See you. Bye.
He's gone into the waiting room. Our other players are Irene, JodyLee, and Dawn. So what our job is now is to get an interesting quirk or phobia or obsession about each one of you. And then it's Emmanuel's job to guess what that is while playing the game, the dating game. So why don't we get an interesting obsession for Irene. Something she's obsessed with.
Irene choose black pepper.
What was yours, Heidi? Because you started out with something. What was it?
Oh, well, shoes.
Shoes. I'm gonna go with those shoes. But I am gonna use yours, Barry, for a fear. And that is, JodyLee, you are terribly, terribly afraid of black pepper. Any kind of pepper.
Okay.
Yeah. You're afraid of pepper. Peppers.
Red pepper, black pepper.
All peppers.
Okay.
Table pepper. Pepper. Terrified of it.
Pepper. People named Pepper.
Well, named Pepper.
I was thinking of that.
Sergeant Pepper, yeah. I went there.
Doggy named Pepper.
An interesting quirk for Don. Something that just, when he walks in a room, everybody goes, you know what, that guy's always
Twirling his mustache.
Always twirls. I'm gonna make. He just twirls his mustache. Twirls everything. The guy's just a twirler. Crazy twirler.
Okay.
Oh, all right. So Irene is obsessed with shoes. It's okay. Everything is cool. You are a little muted at the moment, though. Irene is obsessed.
So I'm trying to curb it.
Completely understand. Completely understand. Vivi's the only child I like. Yeah, that's right. I just said that on the internet. Where's my chicken? Where's my chicken? Okay, so Irene is obsessed with shoes. And JL, you are terrified of pepper. And all peppers. And Don, you're a twirler. You start with your mustache and go from there. Let us bring Emmanuel back in. What have we been playing for 15, 20 minutes now? Let's bring him in. Oh, and if you're not playing the game, this is probably a good time not just to mute your microphones, but also to turn off your cameras because we are having some connectivity problems. Thank you so much. And welcome, my friend. Welcome, Emmanuel, to the dating game. I hope you enjoyed our lovely waiting room.
Yes, it was very nice, very accommodating.
Oh, we try to be accommodating when we can. Now,
I can see no expense.
Oh yeah, we spare no expense in this. We spent upwards of in the double digits. That's just the snacks alone. So now we have 3 eligible people that really want to go out on a date with you. So the trick to this is you ask your question, each of them gets to answer your question, and then you have to make some choices. So are you ready to play?
Yes, I understand.
Oh, good. Let's hear your first question, and the first person to answer is going to be Irene. So let's hear that first question.
Thank you. Well, I'm looking for a life partner as well as a romantic partner, and I work in a public agency. I'm running for Congress, and so we were running a small town that had a financial crisis. Where would you make first budget cuts, and why?
Wow, that is a really interesting question. All right, Irene, let's start with you. Where would you make them budget cuts?
Well, I can tell you, it's very important for all of your staff members to have proper footwear. So we know that we wouldn't be cutting any of those kinds of things because they need to get out there, right? They need to be able to run for you on their running shoes, right?
So definitely not on footwear. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, JodyLee, if you were running a town, where would you make them cuts?
Oh, I think this is such an important question.
Mhm.
And if it were me, I would worry about the agricultural section. And I think that what I would cut personally is anything that wasn't mild. So anything spicy, I would cut all the funding. So no more chili contest, no more, none of that spicy stuff. That's just too much.
Sure. Okay. Don't get too excited. So anything that isn't anything that's spicy, you'd get rid of. That's kind of interesting. All right, Don. If you were running a town, where would you cut? Don. Oh.
Well,
Where would you make cuts?
I was running a town,
Yes.
and the first thing that I would do,
Yes.
I would figure out who were the cheerleaders in the town.
All right.
And I would give them the governorship and the mayorship and also chief cook.
Wow, that seems a little bit much, but okay, that's your point of view. Emmanuel, yeah, that was your first question. Do you have any preferences, any favorites that are emerging?
Well, I see some very strong decision making, but I appreciate how Irene focuses on the campaign and wants to make sure the city itself, the infrastructure, is solid. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She's very interested in people who are running. That's cool. All right, let's hear your next question.
Well, assuming we've successfully reinvigorated the economy,
Sure.
we're going to have some impressive diplomats over for dinner, a very personal, private home dinner. Now, I'm pretty nifty in the kitchen, but I'm so indecisive. Why don't you tell me what's on the menu?
Ooh.
Entree.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Entree and dessert.
Dessert. Entree and dessert. All right, let's start with you, JodyLee. We're having a very important dinner party. And what are we serving? Entree and dessert, please.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked me first.
Yeah.
Because I think that we should start with something very gentle and genteel, like a nice squash soup with a little hint of honey in it. So it'd be very sweet and smooth.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Not spicy at all.
Right.
And then for dessert, we would have probably a really delicate cake. Again, just everything that we have is going to be smooth and sweet. That will be our keynote flavors. That will be a good dinner.
Let me tell you something, my friend. I agree with you. There's nothing like a squash soup, and I always think it's so fancy in a fancy restaurant when they bring over that grinder and put a little.
No.
No
right? Grinders.
Are you all right?
No grinders.
Okay. I didn't realize. All right. I'm sorry.
Sweetness is the keynote here. None of that spicy.
I apologize. Don, we're going over to you. So, important state dinner. We'd like to know what we're serving, both entree and dessert.
Dessert has always been the hardest thing for me to say.
Oh, is it? Whoop! Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
What I think is more interesting
Uh-huh.
is the entree. And the best thing for an entree
Uh-huh.
would be taking dough and twisting it up
Okay.
and putting a little bit of meat in the middle.
Like a hot dog. Wow. Okay.
Well, a more gourmet meal doesn't include hot dogs.
Okay. Whatever you say. Not hot dogs. Fancy version of hot dogs. Irene, so state dinner. We need to know what we're serving, entree and dessert.
Oh, yeah. Well, first we'll slip on right into a filet mignon.
Oh, nice.
And then we'll toe point into dessert with some fresh fruit.
Isn't that clever? That's wonderful. All right, Emmanuel. Now, Irene was your favorite ending the last round. You got any new favorites? Any updates?
Well, as nice as Irene's dinner does sound, it's a bit on the high-end side. I like how frugal Don's dinner plans were. We skip the dinner all together and we have hot dogs. How nice. How quaint.
Wow. Okay. You're going to run one very fancy town there. You have one last question to ask our bachelors.
Well, this question gets a bit more personal.
All right. Let's hear it.
I've always had trouble falling asleep, and I'd want my life partner to feel comfortable telling me a bedtime story. So, please, tell me a bedtime story.
Okay. Well, why don't we get them to just tell us which bedtime story they'd tell you? How's that? All right. Let's start with Don. Manuel has a hard time sleeping. So what bedtime story would you tell him?
First of all, before telling the story, I would put on the right music. Twisted Sister.
Okay. I'm assuming you're going to put it on a turntable as well.
We don't have turntables anymore. We now have called files and CDs.
Well, okay, so we'll play some Twisted Sister and then we'll see where that leads.
You have to be careful that the wires don't get
crossed. I get that.
Crossed.
Sure. You want to be careful. Yeah. Okay, Dynamite. Irene, Manuel has a hard time sleeping. What story are you going to tell him?
Well, I would love to tell you my favorite story, which is that of Cinderella.
Ooh.
And just like that, there's a perfect fit, and they are happily ever after, just like you and me.
Oh, wow. I think that was a good move. I think, Emmanuel's got a lot of good smiling going on. All right, but JodyLee, you're still in the running. We want to know, since Emmanuel has a hard time sleeping, what's the story you're going to tell him?
Well, like Dawn, I would like to start with some music.
Okay.
And that would be almost anything by the Beatles.
Oh.
That one album about that sergeant. Not that album, but any other album.
That's the one. That's possibly the greatest album that's ever been created, JodyLee.
No, any other album but that. That album would keep me awake. Oh, God.
Wow. We're going to have to agree to disagree there.
And then I would tell a salty story.
Ooh, all right. Okay. I think JodyLee just put herself back in the running. Now, Emmanuel, there comes a time in this game when you have to break some hearts, and then this is it. You need to reject somebody, I'm afraid, and you need to tell us why.
Certainly. I knew coming into this what I'd be faced with.
Yeah. Sad.
Well, John, I really enjoyed you're flipping and twisting and spinning around. But as a politician, I don't want to be associated with so much spinning and spin stories and twisting.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. Don, you've been rejected. What do you got to say to Emmanuel?
I, it twists my heart. I'm not the same person that I was.
Oh, Emmanuel, you've twisted another heart, I'm sad to say. Well, I'm sorry, Don. You got a twisted heart there. All right, you got to twist at least one more heart, I'm sorry to say, Emmanuel. Who gets it next?
Yes, JodyLee.
What? Why?
Love your appreciation for agriculture, and I think we're similarly foodies, but I love Thai food and curry and pungent, spicy food, so I don't think it would work in the long run.
Specifically, what kind of pungent, spicy vegetable?
Peppers.
Oh yeah, she can't stand it. She seems to have some kind of. Let's talk to her, JodyLee. I'm sorry, you have been rejected. What do you got to say to Emmanuel?
There is a world of spices out there. So many things you could have that didn't include that nasty, nasty pepper.
Oh well, I think maybe you made the right choice here because it sounds like you're going with Irene. May I ask why?
I think our shared fascination with footwear would make her a great running mate.
That is absolutely correct. Irene, you're going on a date with Emmanuel. What do you got to say?
Oh, I can't wait. And I really hope that we can just be a perfect match and pair of shoes together.
Oh, well, that is simply lovely.
I think we'll be, please, one more pun. I think we'll be soulmates. Thank you for letting me have one more pun.
That's our game. That was the dating game. Give them a round of applause. Oh my God, so much fun. Hey, we're going to be back in a couple of more minutes with a couple of more improv. I just said a thing, right? Okay, I said a thing.